Welcome to 2025, everyone. Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au. Thanks for joining me. And fingers crossed you're going to navigate this next, not just 12 months, because the reading I'm going to give you today really has an impact on all of us for the next 20 years or so. For the first time in nearly 250 years, Pluto has just started its forward motion in the eclectic sign of Aquarius, and that has major societal implications for all of us, which is why I'm going to do a long video for the yearly forecast, because I think it impacts all of us equally. I'm going to go through sign by sign and give you some of the bullet points, but I just want you to get a bit of a broad-based understanding of Pluto and how it impacts us. Its energy, which represents deep transformation, power dynamics, destruction, death, but not always physical death. It can relate to physical death, but we're talking about the regeneration of ourselves, our personalities. Most importantly, on these larger timescales, the renovation and rebirth of society, which I think is happening because Aquarius can be seen to be a technical sign. And so Pluto's transformative influence through the sign of technology and the sign of society and groups, this is culture, is going to be vastly impacted by the transformative energy of Pluto moving through this sector. The major theme for us is the radical reshaping of humanity's relationship with technology. It's the collective power, and I've always said that this period is not just about a societal shift. I think it is about a generational shift. It is an evolutionary leap, and I say that with this artificial intelligence and robotics, it is the first time in history that evolution has jumped the organic dimension into a non-organic dimension. That is Homo sapien, which is a carbon-based life form, evolving into a silicon-based life form. So yeah, you've got to get your head around that. This is monumental, and I think if you look firstly on the societal stage, the verdict is in, and there are going to be some massive job displacement. So for all of us, it's about adjusting. Apparently by 2030, up to 800 million jobs worldwide could be displaced due to this new automotive process. Manufacturing, retail, transport, healthcare, legal, middle management, everything is going to go. I mean, I live here in the Philippines and I'm just waiting for the devastation of the call centers, where you're just going to have bots doing a better job than humans. I was watching a documentary the other day and they were saying that we've now got, I think, AI up to an IQ of around 200. They're estimating within the next year or two that the IQ of this general intelligence is going to be up around 1,500. That's just wrap your heads around that, folks. This is why these jobs are going to go. But by the same token, it's a renovation, it's a rebirth on a societal level, a technical level. Rapid adaptation apparently is going to change those work skill sets, and it could give rise to a new 97 to 100 million roles. So yeah, on one hand we're going to lose a lot of jobs, on the other hand we're going to see a whole lot of new jobs created. So you need to prepare yourself, you need to position yourself and stop living in a bubble. As you've seen on some of my ads, you're living in a jar, smash it. And you've got to be aware, which I think Pluto is primarily concerned with, not just demolishing everything, but creating that awareness that gives you an insight into why it is good for things to break down so that new things can emerge. And that's the way of life, that's the way of history, that's the way of evolution. And so the reading really today is to prepare us for the incredible changes that are coming. Are you ready for it? On a societal level, the lifestyle changes are going to be huge. You know, our everyday life, the way we interact with machines, the way we do our work, everything is becoming easier. We've got smart homes, we've got virtual reality, self-driving cars coming. All of those jobs that were originally part and parcel of those industries are going to completely change. They're going to be modified, if not radically so. So be prepared. Now, that brings us to the issue of the divide. You know, technology costs a lot of money. We know that an iPhone costs maybe $5 or $10 to make, but you know, they're in the marketplace for $1,000 to $2,000, depending on the model that you get. So who are the people that can afford these devices? Who are the people that can afford artificial intelligence? So let's leave aside the fact that AI could well overtake humans, which it will. Its intelligence is, you know, there's no argument about the supreme intelligence over Homo sapiens. But what about third world countries? I hear all this talk about cashless society, digital currencies, the new, you know, Bitcoin and token technology. But, you know, if you come to the third world where I live, you know, people rarely have a bank account. How are you going to do digital transactions with rice farmers out here in the province of the Philippines, in Africa? So I think we're going to see a very, very big divide between those who can afford technology and those who can't. Of course, we've got cultural evolution, our way of producing art, the creative level. We're at a divide with that. You know, some people love AI and the way Suno and Udio are helping people, even those who know nothing about music, to create music. You know, the Stable Diffusion platforms and Mid-Journey, creating art. So in a sense, you know, I said, we've got to have those skill sets, but what's going to happen when we don't need skill sets? What's going to happen to meaning? So this is a really deep issue. So it's changing everything. And that leads me to, I think, another important topic that people have been throwing about, and that is the universal basic income. If we lose meaning, if we have a couple of billion human beings with no work, that's not just a societal problem. It's a global problem, and one which shifts the whole focus of meaning. You know, work is tied in with us having some substantial initiative or purpose in life. And if jobs have gone, how do we, you know, sure, we can pay everyone a universal wage, but what are they going to do with their time? Not everyone is creative. How are you going to fund all of that? So these are all the questions that arise with the transit of Pluto through this 11th natural sign of the zodiac, Aquarius. It's an air sign. It's an intellectual sign. It shifts our thinking. Yeah, here are some stats. I'm just having a look at some of the numbers here, according to the McKinsey reports. An estimated 45% of current work activities could be automated. In the US, 20 to 25% of jobs, that's approximately 36 million people, could be displaced. With the universal wage, there could be huge gaps there, leaving millions unemployed and without resources. The AI market growth, however, is estimated to contribute, or will contribute, to around $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. So there are opportunities. You just have to, as I said, adapt. You have to let Pluto do its work, folks. You have to let it demolish, destroy, annihilate, and you have to embrace that. Because, can you imagine if the caterpillar didn't embrace the cocoon, didn't embrace the death of its old self, it would never grow wings and fly. So Pluto's call for evolution is real. You're feeling it now. You're seeing it in the way, for example, Donald Trump has been re-elected to power. This is a complete shake-up of the system of things. It's a shake-up, just as we saw in music, as we've been seeing in the economy, in finance, with Bitcoin. The new AI and the Pluto energy is going to completely radically transform politics. It's going to shift the way in which we've been politicizing. So I predict a form of digital socialism, which is the domain of Aquarius, and which I think is going to really, really give us some food for thought. But having said that, I do want to move on to each of the different star signs. I want to give you a synopsis on the effects of 2025. So Aries, if we look at you, we see that the transformation is going to take place in your 11th house. It's a focus on relationships, career and finances, but there are challenges there in terms of how you realign yourself socially, the people that you have in your tribe, in your inner sanctum, in your inner circle. That's important. There are eclipses that are going to challenge your driving growth. And Jupiter and Saturn are going to give opportunities for both expansion, but greater responsibility. You have to look at all of these things. In a nutshell, January to March, Uranus in the second house, that shows you have to innovate in terms of your financial objectives. Work and health, the lunar eclipse on March 14th highlights a need for balance in your daily routines, and self-reflection is big on the cards. This is the trend that's set in January with a solar eclipse on March 29, which prompts big shifts in your identity and self-empowerment. April to June, we see the movement of Saturn, the first house. So Saturn is debilitated in the sign of Aries. That initiates personal discipline and growth, but not without a lot of resistance. Your home and family are triggered by Jupiter in the fourth house. That's on June 10th. That brings some warmth and potential relocation, real estate issues. Tension is there with a square from Jupiter to Saturn on June 16, and Jupiter and Neptune square on June 19. So that's a tough period, the middle of the year, a challenge in terms of the clarity of your ambitions and your responsibilities. July to September, we see Neptune in your first house. That's July 5th. It does enhance your intuition, but it does create a little bit of a woolly sort of thinking pattern. You have to be careful of the decisions that you make around that time. Structure, Saturn on July 13 reinforces the need for boundaries and balance. The eclipses on September 8. Confront your hidden fears. September 22, focus on work and health improvements. October to December, we see the Pluto transit in your 11th house, which we've been talking about in the introduction, brings profound changes in your social life and aspirations. That's on October 14. October 22nd up to November 6, we see the movement of Neptune in Pisces, your 12th house, deepening your creativity, but also a strong focus on spiritually aligning yourself. Uranus continues in its second house movement. It gives you another stab at it, offers of unexpected opportunities, but caution is advised at that time. Taurus, where are we at here? I'm trying to find your sign. I've got my notes here for you. I'm going to be a little bit more succinct here. January 31, Taurus is transiting your sun sign. So this is a big one for you. You know, I've talked about this throughout the year. It's shaking up your identity. It's prompting you to move and to dare to not just adjust to change, but to trigger change, to initiate it. Personal reinvention, embracing new opportunities. March 14, we see the lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 5th house. That's love affairs, creativity. We see new romantic connections, but they do require focus at that time, Taurus. March 29, a solar eclipse in Aries. That's your 12th house. This is a time to emotionally heal yourself, an opportunity to go back into your past and to connect the dots. Where are you now? Where have you been? How do all of those experiences, no matter how difficult they are, connect with who you are now and where you're going in future? May 25, I'm just giving you in a nutshell. Saturn in Aries in your 12th house. This again triggers that 12th house fears relating to the past and need to focus on spiritual growth and overcome those self-defeating patterns that are tied up with those traumatic childhood experiences or experiences you've had in your relationships in the past. June 10th, a beautiful transit here, Jupiter moving into the 3rd house in Cancer, which is your communication. This is an opportunity for you to wheel and deal and to get the best deal that you can for yourself. It's an important transit and one that enhances your communications and brings good fortune through that area. September 8th, I'm jumping around, I know, I'm going to give you more as the month-by-month transits come around, but this is just to give you a bit of a broad-based view of what's happening in 2025. The lunar eclipse in Pisces, that's your 11th house. That shows great creativity, an opportunity to bring your creative skills to ways of making money. How are you going to do that? How are you going to bring creativity to those areas in your life? The solar eclipse on September 22 is in your 5th house. This has to deal with romantic, creative opportunities. Also, children. Children will be high up on the agenda if you're a parent, so you'll need to deal with that. New emotional highs and lows have to be dealt with. Capricorn, Pluto's transit back into the 9th house. This transforms your belief, your spiritual views, and some of the long-term aspirations that you've held. Gemini, Uranus is in your 12th house. This can indicate absolutely sudden intuitive breakthroughs in your spiritual work in terms of self-actualization, understanding who you are. It's also a time for you to embrace solitude. Don't be afraid to spend some time alone and to get all of that past shit off your plate so that you can move forward with clarity. March 14, lunar eclipse for you in Virgo in your 4th house. That needs addressing of family issues. Your home responsibilities could be big, but you need to bring your focus to bear upon those issues. March 29, solar eclipse in Aries. That's your 11th house. Realigning yourself with your social goals, networking with the right people. This is the time to do that. May 25th, Saturn is in Aries. It's debilitated in Aries. This could present some problems with friendships, and you need to discipline yourself if you're going to achieve your long-term aspirations. Don't let friendships get in the road of those dreams. June 10, Jupiter in Cancer, 2nd house, financial growth. Beautiful new income opportunities for you. You need to jump on that and don't be afraid to expand and to try something new when these transits occurred. September 8, lunar eclipse in Pisces. This is the 10th house, the pinnacle of your horoscope, the career area. So career changes are likely, and you can gain public recognition. Don't be afraid to throw your hat in the ring and to do something different, especially if it's in a public forum. September 22nd, the solar eclipse in Virgo triggers your 4th house. There'll be a renewed focus on family affairs, in particular your mother. So give time and attention to those important things in your life, not just your work and social activities. October 14th, Pluto in Capricorn. This is a retrogression into the 8th house of shared resources and finances, dealing with money, banking, those sorts of things. Cancer, January, we see Uranus in Taurus in your 11th house. An innovative group project may occur. There'll be social shifts and really a whole new perspective on some of your social activities and the type of people you want to have in your life. March 29, solar eclipse in your career sector. Very, very important for career growth and redefining your leadership abilities and taking the bull by the horns. If there's an opportunity, go for it. Focus on career discipline. Again, Saturn in Aries in the 10th. A lot of responsibility coming for you. You need long-term planning there. Cancer, if you're going to achieve your goals. The June 10th transit of Jupiter into Cancer begins a 1-year transit of personal growth and new beginnings in a whole lot of new areas for you. Your self-esteem could be at an all-time high. Lunar eclipse in Pisces in your 9th house occurs on September 8th. So here you have an opportunity to transform your belief systems and also to consider creative educational pursuits, areas of study and understanding you may have dreamed of but were too afraid to tackle. Now's the time to do that. Renewed learning and communication skills are on the agenda with that solar eclipse in Virgo on September 22, latter part of the year, with Pluto in Capricorn transforming your relationships. And if you're married or in a long-term committed relationship, that's all about to change after October 14 with Pluto transforming that area of your life. Leo, Taurus meets your 10th house on January 31st. Expect the unexpected in your career. It's time to embrace bold new changes in that area of your life. The lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 2nd house is a follow-on from that in terms of the way you earn your money. You have to reassess your financial planning and your priorities and take a close look at your spending habits in this coming year. The solar eclipse in your 9th house shows opportunities for travel. Higher educational opportunities are there if you've thought of, expanding the intellectual horizons. June 10, Cancer has the transit of Jupiter occurring, a 1-year transit that opens up your spiritual introspection. A time for change, but remember, the only way out is in. The September 8 lunar eclipse in Pisces, that has to do with your 8th house, money, and importantly, intimacy, creative intimacy, and connecting with the person that you love on a deeper level. Solar eclipse in Virgo in your finance sector on September 22, a continuation of the lunar eclipse in the 2nd house of March 14. This seems to be a thread that's going to continue throughout 2025 and beyond. October 14, the Pluto transit in the 6th house. Health issues are going to be very, very important. You're going to radically transform how you view your health and well-being as a result of that transit. Leo, Taurus meets your 10th house on January 31st. Expect the unexpected in your career. It's time to embrace bold new changes in that area of your life. The lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 2nd house is a a follow-on from that in terms of the way you earn your money. You have to reassess your financial planning and your priorities and take a close look at your spending habits in this coming year. The solar eclipse in your ninth house shows opportunities for travel. Higher educational opportunities are there if you've thought of, expanding the intellectual horizons. June 10, Cancer has the transit of Jupiter occurring, a 1-year transit that opens up your spiritual introspection, a time for change, but remember, the only way out is in. The September 8 lunar eclipse in Pisces, that has to do with your 8th house, money, and importantly, intimacy, creative intimacy, and connecting with the person that you love on a deeper level. Solar eclipse in Virgo in your finance sector on September 22, a continuation of the lunar eclipse in the second house of March 14. This seems to be a thread that's going to continue throughout 2025 and beyond. October 14, the Pluto transit in the 6th house. Health issues are going to be very, very important. You're going to radically transform how you view your health and well-being as a result of that transit. Uranus is in your 9th house on January 31. Travel opportunities and really unusual areas of interest may pop up. You may have some sudden trip or some innovative learning methods that come to mind. March 14, the lunar eclipse, a big one for you in your sun sign. Personal growth and health will also take center stage at this time. A lot of eclipses here are going to punctuate the year for you. There's another one on March 29, the solar eclipse that takes place in Aries. Financial and emotional transformations are likely as a result of that. May 25, Saturn in Aries is not particularly good. You have to confront financial issues, especially if you're sharing money or you have contracts with other people, banking matters that are not satisfying you. Address those issues when the Saturn debilitated transit in Aries takes place at that time. June 10, Jupiter's in Cancer, lovely transit for you, a 12-month period of growth and opportunity with social activities, new friends, and new alliances that can help expand your horizons into the future. We see the lunar eclipse in Pisces in your relationship, marital sector. Relationships dynamics are going to evolve. You could see those relationships deepening to a level you hadn't experienced before. September 22, there's another solar eclipse in Virgo, sun sign. This is all about reshaping who you are, your identity, presenting that to the world. It's a renewed focus on your self-image. October 14, we see the Capricorn transit of Pluto in your 5th house. Romantic endeavors, the way you approach love and creativity is set to be shaken up dramatically by that transit. Moving on to Libra, the sign of balance. How balanced are you? We see Uranus in your 8th house going to unbalance you, especially financially. A lot of surprises in store for you from January 31 as that transit shakes things up and helps you, well, it helps you if you're open enough to managing your resources more carefully. March 14, a lunar eclipse in Virgo, that's your 12th house. That's emotional healing, releasing of past baggage. You got to get rid of all that shit. Libra, you can't move forward with all of that additional emotional weight. The solar eclipse in the 7th house is going to be a flow on from that as well, with new partnerships and relationships goals being reevaluated. That's an important transit, and that not only relates to the way you deal with your marital partner, but people generally. May 25th, the transit of Saturn into Aries is also going to bring with it some renewed responsibility in the area of your relationships. You have to be more disciplined and you have to understand that relationships aren't always going to go smoothly. You're going to be challenged at this period. Jupiter in Cancer in your 10th house. Wow, this is a grand opportunity for you to expand your career perspective. If you've got something on the horizon there you've been looking at, now is the opportunity for you to go for it and do the best that you can. Success is on the cards after the middle of the year. September 8 is a lunar eclipse in your 6th house. Work and health dynamics require balance. Your health could be impacted by the way in which you're working and the confusion that may be there. You have to get to work on scheduling and managing your time more effectively. A solar eclipse in Virgo in your 12th house of hidden secrets. Ooh, that looks interesting. September 22. Libra, that's a spiritual renewal, emotional healing, just letting go of the past. Not only forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. These are important transitions into a new spiritual awakening for you. October 14, Pluto in Capricorn, that's your 4th house. Wow, that's going to shake up things in your domestic sphere. And now for you, Scorpio, we see Uranus in the sign of Taurus in your 7th house. That has been really radically causing a shift in the way you view relationships generally. We've talked about that a lot throughout the last year or two because it's a slow-moving transit as well. And March 14, the lunar eclipse in Virgo is going to realign your social goals and friendships. So that's also tied in with what you identify as a long-term goal, both with friendships and your personal relationships. 6th house is health. It's an adjustment of your work and also your health as a result of the solar eclipse in this area. Debts and enemies may also come to the fore at that time. Saturn transits into Aries on May 25th. So the 6th house shows a need to discipline yourself in daily habits. That's also going to help that eclipse that we saw earlier in March by bringing you to a point of focus. You know what you have to do. It's not going to be easy, but you must do that to break through into a new level of health and well-being. June 10th, Jupiter in Cancer. Travel is on the cards for you in the second half of the year. Learning opportunities are there. 9th house is all about that. These could be legal issues if you've had legal issues, things that have been outstanding. Jupiter's transit here is very, very favorable and lucky for you. Things could break through at that time. Creative opportunities as a result of the lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 8. Fantastic. Also renewed romantic opportunities. That's the 5th house. It's also to do with your children and gives you an opportunity to reconnect if there's been some estrangement with children or you just haven't had the time to connect. That lunar eclipse in the 5th house really does help that along. September 22, solar eclipse in the 11th house. We saw the lunar eclipse on March 14. The solar eclipse is going to reignite some of the issues that you saw earlier in the year, new social connections and goals, and a revitalization of your social group. I think if you've been withheld from networking socially, this could be a time where you really decide to step back out into the limelight and reconnect with people. 3rd house communications are impacted very, very powerfully after October 14, last part of the year. You're going to see a transformation in the way you learn, the way you think, the way you communicate, the way you negotiate contracts, all governed by this 3rd house. And Pluto's transformative influence on that part of your life is a sure thing, that's for sure. Now take a look at what's happening to you, Sagittarius. Uranus in the 6th house. You have to undergo some very, very difficult changes as a result of unexpected events in your environment. Be prepared for that. Have a plan B ready. March 14, the lunar eclipse in your 10th house is also reflecting these changes. Career adjustments, but also a positive spin on this. Public recognition is likely with this 10th house eclipse. The solar eclipse on March 29, same month, is in the 5th house. So you've got to use your creative skills to somehow maneuver your way through that 6th house, 10th house, January and March influence of Uranus and the lunar eclipse. That can be done, and you have an opportunity also to connect with someone romantically with that solar eclipse there. These are important karmic cycles because the eclipses always take place on those karmic nodes, the north and the south node, having to do with your future and past karma respectively. Saturn in Aries in the 5th, that could put a damper on those relationships, but what this could mean is that the ignition of a new relationship comes with some fairly severe challenges, responsibilities, and obstructions, perhaps time and distance issues, philosophical differences. You've got to work through that if you're going to make your relationships work in 2025. June 10, Sagittarius, Jupiter in Cancer, your 8th house, financial growth, opportunity to achieve some windfall, winning of a lottery, or some unexpected money coming to you in that second half of the year. Jupiter is known to expand your opportunities. The 8th house is the house of other people's money. Yes, thank you. I have a little bit of that as well. September 8th, lunar eclipse in 4th house, emotional healing. This has to do with family matters. In particular, the 4th house is your mother, the maternal lineage, Sagittarius. So don't be afraid to broach those issues and to make peace in 2025. September 22nd, solar eclipse in the 10th house again. This is a recapitulation of what we saw earlier in the year with that lunar eclipse on March 14. This is an even more powerful eclipse, and it brings career opportunities, possibly even job elevation in status. So be prepared. Last quarter of 2025 looks interesting. Transform your financial attitudes with Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house after October 14. New earning opportunities come this way, but you've got to be prepared, as I said in the introduction of this reading, to go with the flow of AI and the artificial intelligence and robotics, because there are new opportunities there. Yes, a lot of jobs are going, but you need to embrace what's coming, and that is going to be your opportunity to really, really improve your life and to make 2025 and the subsequent years successful. Capricorn, it's up to you to make those creative breakthroughs and feed yourself with the fuel of experience, so you've got something to express. Creative breakthroughs are likely once you can do that. You have to innovate in the romantic area. You have to try different things. It's a time of exploration in your romance and your creative activities. The lunar eclipse in Virgo for you takes place in the 9th house, so your beliefs and travel plans may need some readjustments. You may need to shift your opinion. Don't be stuck in your ways. It's time to embrace different ideas. The solar eclipse in Aries on March 29 shows us that the home and family transitions are going to rest on some of those earlier decisions you make in terms of just moving a little to the left or a little to the right if family members have different opinions, especially political opinions. And a restructure of your family dynamics takes place after May 25th, when Saturn also moves into this area of your horoscope. June 10 is a beautiful transit of Jupiter into the western part of your solar horoscope in the 7th house of relationships, marriage, and partnerships. For some of you that aren't married, this could be what you've been waiting for. September, wow, I'm all out of breath here. This is a big year. Lunar eclipse in Pisces, 3rd house. It's all about your communication. It's also about your thinking, but it also tells me you have to be careful not to enmesh your emotions with the thinking processes. You need clarity in the way you think, in the way you logically deduct solutions to the problems that you have. And if you're allowing these emotions to interfere with that process, it's going to be all the more harder to come to proper, reasonable conclusions. Educational and travel opportunities, Capricorn, September 22, that's solar eclipse in the 9th house again, a repeat of the lunar eclipse of March 14. If there were delays, it could be an opportunity at this time, last quarter of 2025, to make those travel arrangements. Transform your personal identity with Capricorn, receiving that big hitting Pluto. That's your sun sign. So this is an amazing last quarter of 2025 where you will feel everything shaking and shedding. It's like the snake shedding its skin. New opportunities, a new you likely at the end of 2025. Aquarius, Uranus is in your 4th house in January 31st to be exact. It's a home and family change. You have to adopt a whole lot of new solutions. You cannot keep using the same tools if they haven't worked for you in the past. This is going to be a time when you can find the solutions to the problems you've got, but not using the same old tools. March 14, lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 8th house. Again, emotional transformations, but you have to keep them separate from the financial requirements that you have. 8th house is other people's money. You cannot afford to be emotional when it comes to business dealings. The 29th of March, there's a solar eclipse in the 3rd house. So this shows that you have an opportunity to reevaluate the way you communicate, the way you negotiate. If there are things you want from your bank manager, that's that 8th house stuff. The 3rd house solar eclipse is going to help you with that. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay. Don't expect things to happen overnight, but that's over the coming months, March, April, May, you'll see those changes taking place in your communication and your negotiation style. Saturn is debilitated. It falls in Aries in that 3rd house. So you have to be careful. That requires additional discipline. You need to study the way of influencing people, neuro-linguistic programming. What is it in other people, their motivation? These are the things you need to incorporate into your manner of communication and negotiation to get the upper hand. June 10, Jupiter in Cancer in your 6th house, growth in health, but also sometimes excess. Jupiter is the biggest planet. You may be overdoing your work, overdoing everything. So you need to just moderate what you do there, and that's going to have a positive impact on your health overall. September 8, Aquarius, the lunar eclipse is in Pisces in your 2nd house. Again, reevaluating your values and your finances are necessary under this eclipse, and keep those emotions under wraps. You need to not allow that to interfere with your clear, decisive decision-making processes. Opportunities in finance and emotional intimacy with the solar eclipse in your 8th house after September 22nd, and transformation and a withdrawal of some sort after October with Pluto transiting your 12th house. More spiritual perspectives, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be doing all this other stuff and then wanting to withdraw. You're going to have to make a firm decision. It may only be temporary, but give yourself that space to really heal and to get back that energy that may be lacking. Finally, Pisces, January 31, that Uranus transit in Taurus is in your 3rd house. Here you're going to be interested in modes of communication, technology. So for you, your communication could be enhanced dramatically. If you've been a technophobe till now could be the time to learn new methods of communication and learn how to really become time efficient. You can use all this technology in a way that gives you the edge time-wise. Lunar eclipse in your 7th house, there's an evolution of your relationship dynamics as a result of that. That 7th house is your love life. It is in particular the solid, enduring relationships like marriage, de facto relationships, and business partnerships as well. March 29 is a solar eclipse in Aries, your second house. Financial independence and values realign with a whole new perspective, probably because we see that Pluto influence dominating you in terms of your objectives and your goals. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But the May 25 Saturn in Aries in your second house, it may have something to do with that, disciplining yourself in the way you earn, just focusing on one thing rather than that scattergun approach, which often happens to people when they're struggling financially, which a lot of us are. You're trying to find new ways to get a bit of extra cash on the table. Well, that could be dispersing your attention and making it actually worse. Focus on one thing and do it well, be an expert, and then the money will flow. Jupiter moves into your creative fifth house on the 10th of June. This is creative growth, also romantic opportunities, and maybe an excess of creativity or a desire to create rather than just do humdrum work. You're sick of the robotic lifestyle. This is an opportunity to break free from that. Another lunar eclipse in your sun sign. This is an important one. You have to reinvent yourself. This is a personal renovation of sorts. And you can have some breakthroughs in terms of your identity. Who the hell are you? What the hell do you want to do? Align yourself with your true identity. Then the path is easy. Eclipse in Virgo, that's a solar eclipse, September 22. That's new partnership dynamics and commitments. Again, that's a follow-on from the March 14 lunar eclipse that we talked of. March 14, that was a lunar eclipse. September 22nd, it's a solar eclipse. And that's going to show a new level of commitment to some relationship. It could be a new commitment, a new relationship, new business partnership. Pluto in Capricorn in your 11th house. It shows that your social networks, your friendships are due for an overdue change. Time for you to meet with people that you feel are going to actually enhance your self-actualization. It's time to break free of those people. What's that old saying? If you hang around a cripple long enough, you develop a limp. Well, it's something along those lines. Sometimes it means just eliminating anything that is in your way to getting to where you need to be. Elimination is one of the key words of Pluto. And so towards the end of 2025, eliminating all of the unnecessary things in your life really is the major tool for you. Wow, I got to take my breath, folks. That was quite intense. I'm here to talk more about what's happening in the coming year. I'm going to be doing the more in-depth 12 forecasts for you. Take a look at those for January 2025. We're going to have links there. Don't forget to subscribe. We need your help on the channel. Tell your friends, drop me a line. And don't forget, pop on over to 2025 forecasts. We've got some amazing text-based forecasts for you there as an adjunct to this. I've skimmed the surface to give you, I guess, what I call the Oracle Express for 2025. And don't forget, we've got lots of other free stuff there, the daily readings, the weekly readings, monthly readings that I've talked about. We've got the text-based yearly readings to give you an insight into what's happening. That works hand in glove with what I've just said here. Do join us in the coming months. I look forward to your company. Have a safe and happy new year, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.